think there was a great fear that the HPV vaccine was some kind of signal to young adolescent women that sex was safe and that there would be an increase in sexual activity and promiscuity. And in fact, that's not happened. We've seen sort of the opposite.
2006 is when the first recommendations were made. Adolescent girls in America should receive the HPV vaccine, designed to shield them from the horrors of cervical cancer. But almost from the outset, there was controversy. A number of American adults, parents, outraged that scientists were telling them they needed to vaccinate their daughters against a disease that they believed is only sexually transmitted. And it's these parents who kept the vaccination rates of this drug to what some considered dangerously low levels for many years. In 2014, only about 40% of girls and 22% of boys ages 13 to 17 received all three necessary doses. Now, there's been a dramatic drop in infections from HPV in the decade since that first warning. But many children still are not getting inoculated, thanks in part to continued controversy claiming the vaccine promotes promiscuity. Let's welcome the president and founder of the Global Initiative Against HPV and Cervical Cancer, author of the HPV Vaccine Controversy, Sex, Cancer, God, and Politics, a guide for parents, women, men, and teenagers. Dr. Shobha Krishnan joins us today. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us, because when you look at this, and I'm one of those who has always spoken out against the anti-vaxxers, saying that you must get kids vaccinated. You must look for these things. These are here for the health of your children. Do you believe that we are finally making inroads here, and these very conservative parents are finally understanding this has got to happen for the health of their kids?
Well, thank you for having me on this show. And yes, we are making some inroads, but the inroads are very, very slow. And there is enough proof, scientific research and studies that are showing that this vaccine is really doing a great job in reducing HPV prevalence. For example, less than 2 weeks ago, there was a very important article in the Journal of Pediatrics, which showed, just to summarize, they took a group of 14 to 34-year-old women, those who had even received one dose of the vaccine, and some of who were sexually active and some of who were not sexually active. And considering, like you said, the dismal rates of vaccination in this country, which is less than 40% for all three doses in girls and about 20% in boys, the results were, in fact, very positive. It showed a reduction of HPV prevalence by 2/3, which kind of goes to show that, one, that the vaccine is working beautifully. And in fact, we are trying to see if even a lower dose, like 2 doses, may be enough. And the results are promising, but still the recommended dose is 3 doses. There might be some herd immunity. And this is the reason why I wrote the book way back in 2008, when the vaccines had just been introduced, because parents had a big decision to make. And one was whether this vaccine will promote sexual promiscuity.
Let me stop you right there if I can. I've got about 2 minutes left, and that's a perfect place, because how then do you, as a medical professional, with this information behind you, how do you then speak to these parents and tell them that this is the best thing for them and overcome what is basically a religious issue?
Yes. Well, the focus has to be on the cancer that this virus can cause, both in men and women. It causes oral cancer, anal cancer, vaginal cancer, penile cancer, including cervical cancer, which is the most serious of all cancers. The thing is, when kids decide to have sex, they're not thinking about HPV. They're worried about pregnancy and they are worried about HIV. These are the 2 main things they worry about. And the vaccine is not going to prevent either pregnancy nor HIV. So the same precautions that they would have to take for others, they would have to take for this too. So there is no way that the vaccine can promote sexual promiscuity. And the other thing too, of course, we have to teach our children values. We have to teach them safe sex. But the important thing is this: not everything is under our control, is it? That's the ugly reality of life. Sexual assault, sexual abuse. In fact, there was a study which showed 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 20 boys under the age of 20 are victims of sexual abuse. And even if our kids, and this is what Dr. Joe Biden at the Oscars a couple of days ago, talked about sexual abuse. And even if our kids were monogamous, where is the guarantee that the person that they're going to be with was not exposed to the virus sometime in the remote past? Because this virus can lay dormant for 20 to 30 years. And we as parents want to do everything we can to protect our children, isn't it? And HPV is one of those tools.
I want to point out the CDC pointed out a 64% decrease in HPV type prevalence among females 14 to 19, 34% decrease among those aged 20 to 24. We just have to, I only have a few seconds left, but we just got to get people out of the dark ages, right, doctor?
Oh, absolutely. There is no doubt about it that, and even before the vaccine came out, the studies show that if this was given at the right age, which is 11 to 12, and as early as 9, the immune response to the vaccine is the best. And this is the time when also they have the least exposure to the HPV virus. So why not we go ahead and vaccinate them when the immune response is the greatest and they have least exposure to the HPV virus?
Reminder again, the HPV Vaccine Controversy, Sex, Cancer, God, and Politics, a guide for parents, women, men, and teenagers. Dr. Shobha Krishnan, we will speak again. Thank you so much for your time. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hardline, will continue.